Hey, man, I just got here. Can you start the stream over? Sure, buddy. I got you. What's up, everybody? I'm laughing alive. Ceasefire Talks. What's at stake? Good morning, America. ABC News. Let's get started there. Vice President Vance is doing talks with the Iranian leadership, and who knows where it'll go. Also, there's Viktor Orban's final day potentially in office, right? Isn't that happening today? There's elections in Hungary, right? We'll see. I mean, Vice President JD Vance tried to engineer the elections are tomorrow. Sorry, he tried very hard to engineer the elections, right? Doing his very best, and I genuinely feel like even in a place like Hungary, that is most likely going to backfire. Like even if this is an important test to see like how resilient the anti-America hatred is in one of the most pro-America administration in the EU, obviously, and overall a country that has like voted him back into office. So therefore, stands the reason that it's one of the more pro-America countries in the European Union. So we shall see if there's like a Mark Carney style situation here where the opposition wins just on the virtues of how much they despise the United States of America and any affiliations with the United States of America.
His day meeting with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who has played a key role in getting the U.S. and Iran to a ceasefire and to the negotiating table. But there are now big issues to hammer out to reach a peace agreement.
This morning, Vice President J.D. Vance touching down in Pakistan for the high-stakes talks between the U.S. and Iran, aimed at reaching an agreement to end the now 6-week war. Vance greeted by Pakistani officials upon arrival, leading the U.S. delegation, which also consists of Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Before he took off for Islamabad, the vice president speaking to reporters.
If the Iranians are willing to negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive.
God, he sucks so much. I can't get over it, man. He's on Ozempic too now, for sure. You can tell. He's Edinger Mentum posted like a unearthed old JD relic from 2019, and he was just as repulsive back then. Okay. But it shows you exactly what kind of fucking demon he is, exactly what kind of loser he is, like what kind of chameleon he is, basically. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because here it is. The LARP, he called it the LARP extinction event, but
they asked me.
JD Vance said Bernie Sanders was one of his favorite Dems in 2019.
So I did this event at the Yale Federalist Society recently where they asked me for my 3 favorite.
Are you with us or with Iran? Well, I'll tell you who I'm not with. The Epstein class. Are you with the Epstein class and their interests? Do you care about advancing the interests of the financial elite that are entangled in a complex espionage web that revolves around child sex trafficking? Because I'm not about that. I'm with the people. Are you a part of the team, little bro? Were you on Lolita Express? Because if the answer is no, if the answer is yes, you should go to prison. If the answer is no, then these guys are not advancing your interests at all, right? It's probably not happening. I wouldn't do that.
Favorite Democrats purely in terms of policy outcomes. And I said, in order, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Tulsi Gabbard.
Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Tulsi Gabbard. Look at his like lame ass socks too. God, he's such a fucking faillennial. I can't stand him, dude. I can't stand him. I despise him so much. Like, obviously, I hate his worldview. I hate what he represents. I hate the policies that his administration is advancing. But there's also something so personally repulsive about him. Okay? It's just, he has no redeemable qualities. No redeemable qualities whatsoever. It's unbearable. He's such a soulless husk, a perfect individual to become the loyal fedayeen of Peter Thiel and his crypto fascist libertarian allegiances, his libertarian allies, and he somehow banked a baddie. Yeah, because he was woke back then. That's why. Usher. He got Usher when he was woke. Remember that.
Talks come 4 days into a fragile ceasefire. President Trump expressing optimism.
We'll be able to finish it off one way or the other. It's going well.
The White House says negotiators are working off a modified 10-point proposal from Iran. A key U.S. demand, Iran turning over its stockpile of enriched uranium.
No nuclear weapon, number one.
The Iranian delegation touching down in Pakistan overnight, insisting the U.S. must release its frozen assets, tens of billions of dollars tied up by international sanctions. President Trump earlier posting on social media, the Iranians don't seem to realize they have no cards other than...
It is kind of funny that he said that and then immediately released, unfroze $6 billion of assets, which is almost 4 times more than what Obama did. Okay. But that's like... Again, that's just how Trump does it, baby. He's like, yep, they don't have any of the cards, which is why we're giving them a massive W. Big favor to those guys. $6 billion green cash, money in pallets being shipped to Iran. No cards, failed casino owner, by the way. I mean, yeah, what are we expecting from a dude who bankrupted a casino? It's not surprising at all.
A short-term extortion of the world by using international waterways, adding, the only reason they are alive today is to negotiate. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said Friday its forces have not carried out airstrikes since the ceasefire began.
And yet bombing has continued. I find that very interesting, specifically on the GCC. Okay. In the last couple of days, there were some successful strikes on refinery infrastructure in Saudi Arabia and some of the other GCC countries. Now, I found that to be very strange because, like, Iran, the IRGC will openly admit if they're doing it, right? It makes total sense for them to say, this is why we're doing it. This is why we're continuously striking. It doesn't make sense for them to keep striking amidst the ceasefire. So that was very interesting. That was very interesting. I don't know who did it. I don't know if there's, maybe another group that has the capacity to lob missiles or bombs or drones in the direction of the Gulf states to make it seem like it's Iran continuously hitting the infrastructure. I don't know. I'm not going to say which country it could be. It's most likely a tiny nation by the name of Israel. Okay? Speculation. Wee woo, speculation alert.
But Iran has failed to meet President Trump's main condition, reopening the Strait of Hormuz. On Friday, just 2 ships moving through the critical waterway. The president accusing Iran of being dishonorable, posting, "That is not the agreement we have." But Iran claiming it's the U.S. now breaking the agreement, with Israel continuing its strikes on Lebanon. The White House says Lebanon was never part of the ceasefire.
President Trump says he thinks these talks will go quickly, but he told the New York Post that the U.S. military is resetting in case no deal is reached with Iran. Rhiannon?
All right, Karen, thank you for that. And by the way, that ceasefire leading to these peace talks is a fragile one, threatened by missile strikes that are continuing all around the Middle East. ABC's Marcus Moore is in Beirut with the latest on that. Good morning, Marcus.
Rhiannon, good morning.
The IRGC claimed credit for various attacks 2 days ago. No, that's not what I'm talking about. There have been some much more minor, but still some attacks on the refineries post ceasefire. I think it was like yesterday. The IRGC said that they were not responsible for it.
Here at one of the strike sites in Beirut, we're told that this was a multi-story apartment building that was hit on Wednesday, and you can see now it is just a pile of rubble. We're told that there were a number of deaths here, and you look at the rubble and you can see furniture in there, also see blankets, there's a mattress on the other side, and even books. And in fact, this looks like study materials for someone who's learning French. That everything that you would see.
Yeah, what are they learning? What are they reading in French? Mein Kampf. But the French version, obviously.
Inside of someone's home is left exposed here in Beirut right now. And this is just one of more than 100 sites that were hit on Wednesday, not only here in Beirut, but also across.
It's unbelievable that they're doing this, not even for, I mean, look, Israel doesn't, blow up entire city blocks for military objectives anyway. But in this circumstance, it was just to destroy the ceasefire process. It was just to see how hard they could go, how many civilians they could kill, and test Iran's boundaries and test America's boundaries as well. They didn't like that the ceasefire was taking place. They didn't like that they had no say in the process. And they just did that. That's how little they care about the lives of 300 plus people that they killed.
Southern Lebanon.
In 10 minutes. 10 minutes is all it took. 10 minutes of bombing. 300 people dead. Disgusting.
And while the Israeli strikes have slowed, those strikes are ongoing, particularly in the south. In fact, we have seen new video of a strike just yesterday in Kfar Joz. Now, Israel says that it has been targeting Hezbollah, but residents and also emergency services here say that they have been targeting residential areas. And I can tell you that there is immense sadness and anger here. Hezbollah has fired a number of rockets into northern Israel in retaliation for these recent strikes. And all of this is now playing a critical role in the effort to secure a peace agreement in the war in Iran. U.S. and Israeli officials are trying to separate the war in Iran and what's happening here as two different issues. But the Iranians have said there can be no agreement in the war unless there's a ceasefire here in Lebanon.
Yeah, as I explained to you yesterday extensively, the Lebanese government is basically doing a Vichy France style deal with Israel. They're absolutely refusing to protect their own citizens with the hopes that Israel will just leave them intact, with the hopes that they can potentially stave off civil war. Ironically enough, by my assessment, this collaboration with Israel, as Israel is killing hundreds of civilians, as Israel is, taking over Lebanese territory, Lebanese villages in South Lebanon, is most likely going to lead to some kind of internal strife and a civil war. But outside of that, from the Iranian perspective, their interest in maintaining a ceasefire across the board for the entire axis of resistance, not just Lebanon, because in their communiques, they say the whole of the axis of resistance, which also includes Gaza, is a part of the deal. Now, they might be saying that just so they can, they can have a better bargaining position that they can lean into if they offer some concessions. But the major point there is to undermine the relationship that Israel and America currently has, where Israel is the power player, even though America technically is the one who has complete control over Israel. They want to force America's hand into making demands that Israel has to abide by. That's the reality. And I think, and this is why I said yesterday, that is perhaps the most consequential element. Are you suggesting that the USA made the ceasefire to save the economy of other countries? I mean, oil and gas disrupts all markets. So saving the global economy is also technically to save the American economy as well. A little bit of instability, a little bit of volatility is an opportunity for capital owners to make money. Too much volatility, on the other hand, and all of a sudden you have an inflation crisis. People can't purchase goods anymore. People can't even produce and manufacture goods, especially if we're talking about the Asian markets where a lot of this manufacturing is taking place. If they don't have this necessary resource, oil and gas, they're not capable of manufacturing goods at the same rate. All of a sudden, you have a real problem with inflation in the Western world as well, because oil and gas is tied to, yes, fuel, food, plastics, medicine. Everything is run on oil. Okay. So there is no, America can try to shelter the worst consequences. America can shelter its population from the worst consequences. But at the end of the day, even if there's a delayed response, it will still absolutely have it will have consequences, negative consequences on the American economy as well, because the entire financial system is designed with this intricate web where everything is interconnected. That's precisely the reason why you might think, well, we have, American companies that are based out of Silicon Valley, for example, and their profit centers are not going to be harmed. Iran can't touch, San Francisco. But guess what? Iran can blow up data centers in the UAE. Iran can blow up a AWS facility in Saudi Arabia, which they have, right? So because of the way that capitalism operates around the globe, a lot of these capital owners are still technically unsafe as long as there is an actor in the region, as long as there's a regional actor that's willing to punish profit centers, which Iran has done. This creates additional pressure for capital owners to make boss calls to Donald Trump and to demand a cessation of hostilities. So not only is oil and gas connected to the global economy, and there is obviously inelastic demand for it, you have to get it somehow. It doesn't matter, because if you don't have it, your grid fails. And we've seen one example of that. I saw it with my own two eyes in Cuba, right? That's what happens when you are not allowed to receive any oil from neighboring countries. Your energy grid falls apart. Your food spoils when there's no electricity. There's no transport of drugs, no transport for ambulances, no transport of food. Everything collapses. It becomes like everyday existence becomes unbearable.
With correspondents standing by for us in Tehran and Islamabad, but let's begin in Pakistan, where those talks are taking place with our correspondent, Osama bin Javed. So, Osama, the Americans and the Iranians are in the same room. They were, I understand, supposed to be in separate rooms, passing messages.
For the record, J.D. Vance's appearance at this ceasefire negotiations also is more proof of the amount of unbelievable leverage Iran holds over the United States of America, because America has so far exclusively sent Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, right? I don't think that Iran believes that J.D. Vance is actually going to be like an anti-war voice inside of the admin. Maybe they do. I hope they don't, right? But maybe they do. Maybe they actually believe the memes, right? Because they are boomers after all. They're chud boomers. Yeah, they might be very well read, very well educated, and certainly understand negotiations, diplomacy, but they might still have some relic ideals like boomer idealism, where they read like a CNN article and they're like, oh, J.D. Vance is the lone voice. I doubt it. I think the reason why they asked J.D. Vance to be there is to basically flex the amount of control they have over the negotiation process, even without the demands that they're putting forth. Because this is not part of the 10-point process. This was just to even have a conversation. So for the very fact that they were capable of demanding and receiving J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States of America, in these negotiations, implies that America was willing to play ball. It shows the power dynamic at play. It shows how much leverage Iran truly has. Because under normal circumstances, if America was actually dominating Iran and Iran was begging for a ceasefire in the way that Trump has presented it, in the way that Pete Hegseth has presented it, when Iran says, oh, we're not coming to Islamabad unless J.D. Vance is there, they'd be like, fuck off. We're not sending the vice president, right? It could also be missile insurance, but I don't think Israel is capable of actually fighting against an enemy with a competent air force and the capacity to defend itself. So I doubt that they would try to lob missiles. At most, maybe some kind of espionage, some kind of infiltration. So I don't think that Israeli Air Force would want to go up against the Pakistani Air Force. I mean, And it's not even just memes, like straight up. They have a competent air defense system. They have a competent air force. Israel can only bomb uncontested civilian lands and murder babies and children. It's not even a joke. That's just straight up the only thing they're capable of doing. But ultimately, I think the J.D. Vance demand that America received and agreed to is a big step. It's a big step. It shows that they have Iran has tremendous leverage over this conversation.
Messages between each other. Do we know how exactly the change to face-to-face talks came about?
Well, it is a historic moment here in Islamabad where the Pakistanis are taking credit for convincing these sides to forget their differences for a moment, sit together, resolve what they agree upon, and then move forward. We've been hearing from a number of sources who've been talking about how Pakistan has been trying to convince them to at least extend the ceasefire for a longer period, for the Iranians to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, and then work on everything else that is on the table. The Iranian positions have been quite rigid. They've been talking about how there needs to be a ceasefire in Lebanon, how those assets that have been frozen by the United States need to be given back to the Iranians. And now also we're hearing now that there have been multiple rounds of negotiations, talks in a congenial atmosphere where they've also had dinner, and now there's in the process of exchanging notes. We hear from the Iranian side that their delegate level negotiations are underway, and they're going to continue to try and find avenues. One source has told us that there is a push from Pakistan to try and get at least another day, another round, another extension of these talks so they can come to some sort of a conclusive agreement. So far, that has not happened. And as you've been hearing from the Pakistani Prime Minister, this is make or break for lasting peace in the region. So Pakistani diplomats are saying they're still hopeful. They're trying to convince them to give more and to cede more ground. But it will all depend on both sides and their leaderships to figure out how they go about these talks, what will be the mechanism going forward. And now that they've started meeting face to face, can they continue doing that?
So, Osama, you reported that there may be some progress on Lebanon and Iranian assets. And as you just pointed out, the Pakistani Prime Minister had really urged both sides to be flexible here. I wonder, based on what you're hearing, are the Pakistanis actually optimistic for a breakthrough here? Well,
if that is one word in Islamabad right now from the corridors of power, whether to talk to military sources, diplomatic sources, or people in the politicians, they're all hopeful that there is something on the table. Now, they don't want to, there's almost a gag order here in Islamabad where no official will speak to you because they don't want to cast any shadow over what is coming between these two sides. So they're hopeful, they're optimistic, and they're trying to convince both sides to continue talking. And that they've said that this is a platform that is available to them, whether they continue tonight, whether they continue next week, or want to come back to Pakistan. According to the hosts, they're ready to host more talks.
Kimberly, look, negotiations are often about striking a conciliatory tone. That is maybe not the tone being sent out by the U.S. President Donald Trump on his social media site, Truth Social. What has he been saying, and do we know if it's having any...
I'm going to say exactly what I've repeated over and over again for the past 42 days. Donald Trump is the worst person to hear from to develop a decent understanding of how things are going. Okay? And oftentimes I'll say, like, listen, Barack Ravid, for example, has utility, right? If you want to understand exactly what will happen next, don't listen to Barack Ravid. But if you want to understand, like, what the American side or the Israeli side wants you to hear, then yes, Barack Ravid is reliable, right? Reliable in like an inverse Kramer index kind of way. With Donald Trump, there is no utility whatsoever. There is no reverse Kramer index with Donald Trump's statements because it's just inconsistent. It's just inconsistent rambling. There is nothing, you can't even use him as an indicator because in one moment he'll say he's going to nuclear first strike and do a holocaust of the Iranian population. And then a couple hours later, it's like, all right, ceasefire time, right? So he is deeply unstable. and in a panic state, a chaos agent who doesn't know what his next move is. Like, he personally doesn't know what the next step is. He doesn't know what his next statement will look like. So it's precisely the reason why the worst person, yeah, he's like a cornered animal, and therefore the absolute worst person to hear from, to try and develop an understanding of what will happen next. One thing that I have seen, though, consistently is the more he talks about blowing up Iran, at least like this has been the pattern, the more he talks about blowing up Iran, the more willing he is to concede to Iranian demands. At least that's kind of what has happened so far. So if there's any sort of like, reverse indicator that you can pull from his choice words, I suspect it's, his consistent agitation on the timeline, specifically on Truth Social, talking about, blowing up Iran. That means that they are going to concede to a lot of the demands that Iran is making.
Impact on these talks.
But again, I still caution you. I still urge caution here. Don't assume any sort of consistency whatsoever.
For many hours, as you probably have noticed, we'll see what happens. Look, regardless, we win. Regardless what happens, we win. We've totally defeated that country, and so let's see what happens. Maybe they make a deal, maybe they don't. Doesn't matter. From the standpoint of America, we win. One other thing that's happening is that boats are sailing up and heading out to our country, big, beautiful tankers, and we're loading them up with oil and gas and everything else, and it's a pretty beautiful thing to see.
What about the Iran's assets in other countries?
We're going to see what happens. We're in very deep negotiations with Iran. We win regardless. We've defeated them militarily. They've dropped a couple of water mines. You call them water mines in the boat. We've defeated all of their water boats, too. Their Navy has gone 158 ships. They have 28 water droppers, mine droppers, they call them. All of them are sunk. They probably have a couple of mines in the water. We have mine sweepers out there. We're sweeping the strait. In addition to that, we're negotiating. Whether we make a deal or not makes no difference to me. The reason is because we've won. Whether you listen to the fake news or not, it's amazing. Their credibility is down to 13%. The media credibility down to 13%.
Just like the Iranian Navy has been deteriorated, the American fake news media's credibility has been deteriorated down to 13%. Perhaps from the standpoint of credibility, American media is worse off than the Iranian Navy.
Think of it. We defeated their Navy. We defeated their Air Force. We defeated their anti-aircraft. We defeated their radar. We defeated their leaders. Their leaders are all dead. And now all we do is we'll open up the strait, even though we don't use it, because we have a lot of other countries in the world that do use it that are either afraid or weak or cheap. I don't know what it is, but we were not helped by NATO, that I can tell you. How do you know that? Why do you say that? Why do you say that? You don't know anything. Who are you with? Who are you with?
NBC News, Julie Serkin.
ABC?
NBC.
Well, that's fake news. Let me just tell you, we win, no matter what. We've defeated their military. They have no Navy. 158 ships are underwater, undersea. All of their minesweepers and all of their, they call them mine droppers. Can you imagine? A country has 28 mine droppers. You think that's nice? With all of that being said, they're all defeated, by the way. They're all at the bottom of the sea. Now, with all of that, they have no Navy. They have no radar. They have no Air Force. Their leaders are all dead. Khomeini is gone. For many years, he ruled. He's gone. With all of that, let's see what happens. But from my standpoint, I don't care.
But
Thank you.
China is preparing to of weapons to Iran. And
Well,
further
if China
attacks-
does that, China's going to have big problems, okay?
Mr. President,
He's mad. He is not having a good time, man. Holy shit, Hasan, Trump is extra brown on his forehead. He's been praying double, bro. He's a devout Sunni now. He's got the prayer mark that only the most devout Muslims have. The China thing is obviously the Bloomberg report that came out that states that U.S. intelligence indicates that China is preparing to provide Iran with air defense systems in a matter of weeks. CNN reported Beijing is expected to ship shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles known as MANPADS, man-portable air defense systems, something that, if you recall, I brought up when the extraction operations were happening, the combat search and rescue operations were happening, where I noticed a lack of MANPADS for the Iranian ground, the Iranian troops on the ground. It's a really important part of anti-air defense systems. Now, here's the thing. Are they talking about rocket launchers? I mean, they're not like rocket propelled grenades. They are like they have lock-on capabilities. They're much more advanced than like an RPG. They're anti-air missiles that you can launch from a solitary unit on the ground. Think javelins in COD for the chatters. Yeah. I don't think they are capable of hitting jets, obviously, but they will do a lot of damage. I mean, they'll easily destroy helicopters. If they're low flying enough, they could even do damage to the jets too. Javelins are for ground-based targets, but it just locks on. It's basically a fucking portable anti-air defense system that locks on to aircrafts that are either flying low, like low-flying fighter jets, if they're flying low enough, low-flying aircraft that that can destroy cargo planes and absolutely helicopters too. Can be used for sea defense. Ukraine has used it this way. Stinger missiles are the American MANPAD. Afghans used MANPAD against the Soviets. Even back then, it was insane. Yep. Mark Carney says the days of our military sending 70 cents of every dollar to the United States are over. Thunderous applause. I mean, Carney is like one of the best examples of all talk, no work to show for it, if I'm being real. Like, there have been some opportunities for Mark Carney to actually make a convincing case that he truly is moving in a different trajectory. One of which was obviously going to China. He did that already, and that's fine. That's a significant move, right? And having a bilateral economic relationship with China, that's significant. What he could have done in the last couple of months was absolutely continue sending oil to Cuba, and especially after the Supreme Court struck down Trump's tariffs, which took away Trump's capabilities of implementing ridiculous tariffs willy-nilly out of nowhere. He could have done so. He didn't. They sent a lot of humanitarian aid, and that's fine. That's great. But there have been opportunities, like one of the biggest gimmies that every middle power has right now to show that they are real, to show that they are actually invested in their own sovereignty and invested in building new coalitions against the rot that America presents around the globe, is criticizing Israel. Technically, it's not even criticizing America, although we all understand that criticizing Israel would be criticizing America. But like, it's one of those things that you could do. Pedro Sanchez is doing it right now. Okay, he's absolutely leading the way, charting a new path in developing diplomatic relations with Iran directly. Like, even if it's aesthetic, even if it is just for aesthetics, okay, which I think it is. Pedro Sanchez, I think, is trying to do in some ways what we're kind of seeing build in the United States of America as well, like to address the growing wave of leftist resentment. He is trying to lean into that side a little bit to maintain power in the hands of the center-left parties, in the hands of like social democratic parties, right? But even statements like that matter, because statements like that are consequential. Now, obviously, if you lead if you follow through on those statements with like actual economic punishments to the state of Israel, you can carve out a different path for yourself, right? Brother, he is literally in China right now. This is not aesthetics. No, going to China is I already admitted that. That's a big commitment. But that's not necessarily saying like we oppose American imperialism, we oppose American empire, we oppose the actions, the belligerent actions that America is taking that is ruining the planet. You know? Not that it matters, because with Mark Carney, for a lot of the Canadian liberals, from what I've seen, they actually really appreciate all the anti-American posturing. And seemingly, Canadians so far are not demanding material changes, right? Like, because his approvals are pretty high, right? From what I understand, his popularity is very high. So, like, even saying those words, saying we're going to chart a different trajectory for ourselves, we're going to develop sovereignty away from the United States of America, is enough for... Here we go, coping about Canada. Wait, what? I'm asking a question to the Canadians in the chat. What I have seen about his approval ratings is that Canadians, by and large, actually really appreciate the things that he's said thus far. Like, his Davos speech was huge, right? You know, New World Order, liberalism is failing, all this stuff. But his approval ratings wouldn't be super high right now if people realize that it wasn't just words, if there was actually some changes that were being implemented as well. I think that the deal that he cut with China was massive, and that was enough for a lot of the Canadian liberals. Like, a lot of the Canadian population saw that and were like, okay, good. Like, I'm happy. I'm confident. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a statement for the media because of how frustrated he is. Let's take a look.
Dear citizens of Israel, my brothers and sisters, the campaign is not yet over, but we can already state...
This was, of course, in Hebrew, just so you understand. It's like auto-translated by AI on YouTube. But, like, again, it's significant that he's, this is a Hebrew response, so he'll be a lot more honest about how frustrated he is.
Clearly. We have historic achievements. I want to remember where we were. Iran tried to trap us in a ring of fire. Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Assad regime in Syria, the militias in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen, and Iran itself. Meaning, they wanted to strangle us, and we are strangling them. They threatened us with annihilation, and now they are fighting to survive. We struck them, we still have more to do, and I will detail that short.
The worst weatherman I've ever seen. Yeah, is always hailing bombs, dude. When he gets in front of a fucking map, just know bombs are hailing, all right?
But I want to start...
Look at how small Israel actually is. Tiny nation. It is the size, as you can tell from this map, of New Jersey.
With Iran itself, the head of the...
Notice how there is no West Bank. Because we've taken it.
The octopus, because I have dedicated a significant part of my life to preventing one thing. That this regime of terror gains nuclear weapons with which it seeks to destroy the Jewish state and end Jewish history. I spoke about this in Congress, at the UN, and in various parliaments. I authorized all sorts of operations, most of them covert, to delay them, and we indeed delayed them. But the world did not listen. Many said, it is not that terrible, it is not even that terrible that Iran will have nuclear weapons. I heard these voices not only outside, I heard them even within us. And I, as Prime Minister of Israel, head of the one and only Jewish state, could not accept that.
Real voice.
And the great change happened that evening of days of repentance, when I informed you that our courageous pilots were in the skies of Iran, striking targets all across Iran. And I remember my feeling. What excitement, what pride, goosebumps. And I know that you all experienced it too.
Now, some Democrats are sounding the alarm with the founder of the Third Way think
I'm
tank
telling you, they're
calling
like
for the party
they're
to
literally
distance
promoting
themselves
Democrats.
from
They're
Biker,
promoting
Cory Booker, Ruben
they're
Ragel,
they're promoting Democrats.
reportedly
They're like, look at
are
these good
refusing to
Democrats.
go
They're
on his
smart.
show. So, Tommy, there's this huge, obviously, division within the Democratic Party. But
Oh, we got the full panel.
So Hasan Piker, he tried to walk back his statement about America deserving 9/11. He said it was more about foreign policy. You have Democrats who are appearing with him saying, just because I appear with him doesn't mean I agree with him. So they're trying to soften it a little bit, right? At the same time, you have so many Democrats calling for the 25th Amendment for our president for what he said to a country that wants to wipe us
Yeah,
from
he's the
face of
president.
the
I'm a
earth.
fucking Twitch streamer. How are they
100
trying to make
times
this
over.
dynamic
Yet
work?
he has to be removed from office, but they can make the excuse to stand next to this man on stage.
And I'm sorry, I'm still a little taken aback that the good people of a state like Michigan would elect someone like Rashida Tlaib after listening to her comments. She's an elected member. Hasan Piker is an influencer, right? So I think that the things that he says are gross. I think a lot of them are for clicks and for money. That's the currency that a lot of these people operate in. Does he believe all
You're
the
an
nasty things he
influencer.
says? I don't know, but he's making money off of it. The fact, though, that we've got elected representatives that want to be seen with him and that they themselves speak in a very similar way, by the way, and that you have candidates that want to be seen with him. You know what he said in that clip there, now I'm not alone, there are so many of us. I'm thinking that's the terrifying part. The terrifying part is that this is the new Democrat Party. They want to be Mamdani. They want to be Hasan Piker. They want to be Rashida Tlaib. They want to cozy up with this because they are this. And that, to me, is what's more distressing.
Yeah, and Joey, Democrats,
You'd think Fox News is incredibly worried about the future of the Democratic Party with the way that they're so considerate about how they win elections.
Let this happen. Let them feel like they can cozy up to this. Let them show their true colors. I don't know where the Democrat primary is for Senate in this Michigan Senate race, but if for some reason Abdul El Sayed wins that primary and it looks like it'll be Mike Rogers against him, I would buy a billboard everywhere my money would allow, a picture of that Democrat
that'll
Senate
definitely
candidate
work.
and the quotes under him saying America deserved 9/11 and in the smallest text possible, Hasan Piker, because let Hasan Piker represent them when they go up in a general election, and everyone in that state has a chance to care. Right now, it's a Democrat problem. Let Democrats turn their problems into our problems in the sense of in the campaign, so that people have a chance to see who they really are.
Yeah, David, I'll let you get your 2 cents in real quick.
Let them speak. Let them show themselves for who they are. They're more out there. Rashida Tlaib said it. They're trying to shut us down. I don't want to shut you down. I want to amplify what you're saying.
Yeah, they're very loud.
And by the way, not just for the U.S., this needs to be seen all over the world because this problem is all over the world.
Yeah. Well, coming up, Vice President Vance is in Pakistan to negotiate.
That's awesome. Have they just forgotten about you with Mamdani? I don't know. I don't know if they... Dude, why does this look like a creep shot? I mean, it didn't work. It's not going to work this time either. I don't know why elections are supposed to be won and lost on what you can offer people. Okay? This kind of outrage manufacturing is not a reliable way to make or break elections. It's just not. And you want to know why I know that? Donald Trump became president not once, but twice. Okay? If that was successful, if outrage manufacturing around statements was successful, Donald Trump wouldn't have been president twice. Okay? And not only that, but also, I'm not running. I don't know if Fox News knows that. I don't know if Third Way knows that. I don't know if the Democrats that have been chirping about me know that, but I'm not a fucking senator. I'm not running for office. Okay? So it's doubly stupid that they just keep doing that. Actually, it will not only not work, but Abdul is literally going to explode in popularity because he's going to get more attention. The fake progressive McMorrow on MSNBC strat was working before they took you on. He's going to win because of this dumb shit Lamau. I hope that's the case. We'll see. We'll see. But one of the major issues for the Abdul El-Sayed campaign, from my estimation, was the fact that Abdul was not getting enough coverage. That race was not getting enough coverage. He certainly wasn't getting a lot of coverage. And now people are actually tuning in to see, what this dude's about. And the best part about it is it's actually the Republicans that are yelling at him. So now he can fight back against Republicans. Now he can show the Democrats in the Democratic primary what kind of senator he will be and how we will fight back. The greatest gift that could happen in this situation is if Donald Trump not only yells at me, but yells at Abdul. If he tweets out something about me, tying it back to Abdul El Sayed, please, inshallah, it will happen. I mean, I will put my life at great risk if that does take place, but it will be a tremendous gift